I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, where we serve you your top stories from Israel in nice, sizable chunks every Monday to Thursday, brought to you by Lay of the Land. And if you haven't checked us out, you can visit our website at www.layoftheland.online for awesome original content. And our social media, you can find us on Facebook at Lottel Site. If you're viewing us on that site, please like us or follow us. Consider sharing our content. We're on YouTube and our address is at the Israel Brief. If you like us, please consider subscribing, and on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. But let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. And a panel of health experts have recommended to Israel's coronavirus cabinet that Israel rolls out a fourth vaccine for people between the ages of 18 to 60. At the moment, Israel is rolling out coronavirus vaccines to people over the age of 60 or who are immunocompromised or healthcare workers. And to date, over 600,000 people have received that fourth vaccine. It is believed that according to the studies that have been done here in Israel, that a fourth vax gives you 3 to 5 times more protection against severe illnesses if you catch COVID-19. Now, the weather in Israel has been unseasonably cold, even though it is winter. I know somebody said to me, we always forget how cold it is in winter, but this one has been particularly cold. Now, Israelis, like many other countries in the region, are bracing for Storm Elpis, which is due to hit the country tomorrow. Israel is bracing for storm conditions, including snow in the northern parts of the country and in Jerusalem. It is expected that these areas which are higher or more elevated than others could see a few centimeters of snow. And I have to tell you, coming from a country in the southern hemisphere, this is very, very exciting, albeit the inconvenience, because we are a country that's not used to having so much snow. In other news, 3 Palestinians were injured following attacks by Jewish extremists in the West Bank town of Harawa. Jewish extremists threw stones at storefronts and also set cars on fire. Now, this is the latest in a series of events committed by extremists. The latest being one in the outpost of Givat Ronen in the West Bank. This is an illegal outpost that received demolition orders from the Israeli government, and extremists there responded by attacking several Palestinians as well as Israeli activists. They were subsequently arrested. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Benny Gantz has said that stone throwing or acts like this from either side can be called terrorism. At least 6 American Jewish organizations have written a letter to the Israeli government condemning extremism like this. And our final story takes us back to the UK. I really wish that we could visit another country when it comes to the media reporting in a way that is biased. And the latest comes from the Guardian newspaper. Now, no great surprises for many people. The Guardian is seen to be extremely left-leaning and does have a history of biased reporting against Israel. Well, their sports journalist Jonathan Liu has written an op-ed accusing Israel of sports washing. Yes, he says Israel's propensity to focus on sporting events like having Lionel Messi play in a friendly game here or hosting the Giro d'Italia cycling race is an excuse by Israel to distract from the conflict. And of course, this brings up many different arguments. The first is, what is wrong with a country wanting to invest in its sports people? The second is that Israel is a country that exists beyond conflict with our neighbors. And as somebody who grew up in South Africa and witnessed firsthand the healing power of sports, sports is a tremendous builder of bridge and creator of peace. When you get teams or competitors from both sides competing against each other, getting to know each other, normalizing, so to speak. And one has to wonder, what is the agenda of journalists like Liu and The Guardian if this is the kind of agenda or the kind of reporting that they want to promote. We also have to ask the question, where are the exposés on Qatar or China or Iran? We know that many are worried about the fate of an Iranian athlete who has criticized the Iranian regime. Will he follow the same horrendous fate of Navid Afkari, the wrestler who was executed for protesting against that regime? But at the end of the day, this is a very, very uncomfortable anti-Semitic stereotype. The singling out of Israel at the expense of other conflicts to report stories like this is seen as a traditional form of anti-Semitism. And one has to wonder, with these publications having tremendous platforms and the opportunity to speak about bridge building and how we could work towards peace, why do they persist with an anti-Israel agenda? That is our food for thought. But you can join me again tomorrow if you want to get your news from Israel right here on the Israel Brief. I'm Rolene Marks. These are your top stories from Israel. And don't forget to come back same time, round about the same place again tomorrow.